Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fink.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
Get it to you.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph, Childress.
DJ Khaled, you know the big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands brought up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Pastner.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
They have no swag. They have no nothing.
Jerel, McNeal.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
I'll give you what happens.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Friday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster. We got Jerel McNeal here, and we got a very special guest, Matt Norlander's laptop. Guster is for lovers.
That's right, baby.
Friday night in the Garden, Matt. Is there anywhere else in the world that you would rather be on a Friday night in March?
Would not. And you know what? This wasn't even an epic Friday night. It was a good, high-quality Friday night, but the Big East semis always deliver, and, I mean, there's no shortage of stuff to talk about. We got a good rally from Providence. It wasn't quite enough, but the building was on fire, and then UConn, St. John's. It had a little bit of everything. St. John's didn't have enough, but they scored more points on UConn than any other.
That's where we have to start. We have to start with St. John's UConn. We probably have to start with the fan in red, who first time, Matt, you've been doing this a long time. Jerel, you've been around basketball for a long time. I've never seen a fan after a game get a scrum with the media members. We had Dana O'Neal over there. We had Pat Forty over there. We had Zach Braziller over there. All the big names that were here were over there interviewing the guy that got into it with Dan Hurley on the sideline.
First time for me as well, too, Rob. When I saw the huddle there, I was looking over the top thinking it was going to be one of the taller players, maybe the coach, but, it was the little guy with the red blazer on and the boots. So, definitely an odd game. It had a little bit of everything, kind of like you said, a couple different runs, but the building was absolutely electric. Obviously, UConn and the St. John's fans packed the house, and that led right into the Providence and Marquette game as well too. Man, just a great environment, and I don't think it's a better place to be this time of year than the Madison Square Garden on a Friday night.
Biggest takeaway from UConn beating St. John's that you have?
Biggest takeaway is if St. John's gets into the tournament, and I was more bullish on that last night than I am tonight. I still think they got a shot, but the bubble cut line is fascinating, and we have bid thieves still lurking, so keep that in mind. But if they're in, their offensive acuity, I think, is still so dangerous that they can be a team that if they get sent to Dayton, they could beat their first four opponent. And then almost every single year, if you get sent to Dayton, we almost always have a team win at least 2 games. Mm-hmm. They don't get kicked out of the round of 64. I think that's a big thing because the defense is just, and some of it's UConn. The game was insane. UConn had 1.41 points per possession. St. John's was 1.3. Like St. John's had about as good of an offensive game as you could possibly ask for. And they probably would have beat all but 3 or 4 teams in the country tonight. They had to play UConn there. But I would have encouragement if I was a St. John's fan that if we get in, right kind of draw, they are playing well. And you even saw with like Jordan Dingle playing as well as he played all season long. That's a key development.
Jenkins was really good too.
I would, no doubt about it. I would lean St. John's only because UConn just did more of what we've seen. If you want to, you guys take it from here in terms of you had Spencer go for 20 points, 9 assists. Tristan Newton again. I mean, 25 points, 9 assists. To have 2 guys have 9 assists in a high-level game like this, I thought was ultra impressive. But it was just more of the same that we've seen with UConn. To me, St. John's was the bigger takeaway.
I completely agree. And I'll turn to you halfway through the game. It was just like, I think this might be the best I actually seen St. John's play offensively all year. And it just wasn't enough because it seemed like UConn was just red hot. They couldn't miss for 3. Tristan Newton got it going early. Cam Spencer came in and joined the party. And keep in mind, they did all of this just about hit 100 points on St. John's tonight with multiple guys in foul trouble. Mm-hmm. So Klingan got 2. I think Sampson got 3 maybe in the first half, and a couple other guys got in foul trouble as well too. But, I mean, UConn just can beat you in so many different ways, even when they don't have their rim protector in and they're not stifling teams defensively. They got guys that can carry the load. They can make plays. They can make shots. They're just going to be a tough out all around.
Yeah, I think for me it was that you kind of saw a little bit of what you have to do to be able to beat UConn. Like we were talking, it was something we've been talking about over on Press Row quite a bit throughout this week is what do you do? How do you do it? How do you beat UConn? And if you look at the teams that have beaten them, it was Seton Hall, getting really physical, getting their starting center hurt, and getting them a little bit on jet lag coming back from Seattle, and Steph Castle was not right yet. So they got, I don't want to say they got a little bit lucky, but that was like a fortuitous moment in their schedule. Kansas was 9 for 14 from 3 and played at home. And Creighton was, I think, like 14 for 29 from 3 and played at home. So it's, you shoot the lights out, you hope that their NBA guys aren't really all that healthy, and then you kind of go from there. I think what we saw with St. John's is if you want to run with them a little bit, you can probably run with them a little bit. You get Klingon in foul trouble, and that's what St. John's did. Now, the difference was when Tristan Newton is playing like that and Cam Spencer is playing like that, it's just, what are you going to do? They basically have 2 point guards that are 23 years old.
It's just one thing after another, and then you even got like small stuff where if you're not dialed into UConn a ton, you don't realize. But Jalen Stewart has been improving, like and Samson Johnson. They just have guys that, like, even if you get lucky and you have a rare off night from Newton and the shots aren't falling for Spencer and Klingon might be just, you know, at a B- level, the other guys are going to step up and play. They have a way about them that their ceiling is higher than anyone in the country. Houston has been rated as the best team, but if UConn plays at its best, no one's going to beat them. And they can. To me, they are adaptable in terms of, yes, they're more than willing to play you in a race Jerel to 90, for no doubt about it. But if they get caught up against an elite team like a Houston or a team that wants to, you know, really try and keep it in the low 60s, I still have the same amount of confidence that they would find a way to get it done, because they can play flashy, they can play aggressive, they can play dirty, they can play physical, and they can adjust. And they're really good out of time. They have the entire package.
All right, so I want to ask you guys this. We're going to get to an interview with Dan Hurley here in just a second. I want to ask you guys this about that first game. I can't remember a college game in this building that had the level of like juice and excitement that first half did. It kind of waned off a little bit in the second half because UConn was able to hold St. John's at arm's length a little bit. But between Hurley and Patino going at it, the technical fouls, the fans going at it, the two families over here, like the Hurley family, they are lucky that they put Bob Hurley Sr. in the second row, because I thought he was ready to jump over there and go at the guy that was sitting front row over there. Can either of you remember a night in this building? Matt, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
That had this level of electricity.
I feel like, yeah, probably. Now we're talking specifically first half, and because it was St. John's that was in this for the first time since 2024 years, it was on a level that was borderline unmatched of any Big East semi over. And I want to be clear about this. Over the past decade or so, this tournament always delivered. It's amazing. This building, you know, it was announced earlier on Friday. They are extending it through 2032. To me, that's not long enough. Extend it till the end of time as we know it, but whatever. We'll take till 2032 for now.
Give them the Coach Cal contract.
Correct, right, exactly. But between, and I got the guy's name, this friend of Patino's. His name is, someone sent it to me, Tom O'Grady. He's from Louisville, apparently. And, yeah, that was a whole wild scene. You had, and Hurley wanted him getting kicked out, and then he did, and then I thought he wanted him kicked out at halftime. Then he clarified post game that he didn't. There was just a little bit of everything. But I will say this: I wasn't surprised UConn had more fans than St. John's, but UConn had like 4 times as many fans as St. John's in this building, and I didn't think that it would be at that heavy of a ratio. And even Patino said afterward, he said, "Listen, when I was at Kentucky in the '90s." Almost every place we played on the road, there were more Kentucky fans than, you know, that might be exaggerating, but point well taken. And now Connecticut right now is the Kentucky of the East. And we lost a ton of fans over the past, 10, 15 years. We got to get those people back. He's working on it. Getting to a Friday night in his first season of the Big East semis is a big time thing. But yeah, a great environment. And between the first half of UConn St. John's and then the second half of Marquette Providence, we got the Garden at its best.
It was. What do you like to say? The Garden
is alive.
Is alive. Jerel, you got anything, man? Have you ever played in this building when it was like that?
I have, and I'm fortunate enough to be old enough, to remember the days where this building gets electric. Number one, like you said, St. John's is good. Patino's done a great job this year. That's a special feel for people in New York. But I'm also old enough to remember when Syracuse was still in the tournament. I'm old enough to remember when
you're dating yourself now.
Georgetown was really good in the tournament. You know what I mean? They're making deep runs every year as well too. And even the UConns, just they've always been up there, and even in my day. So it's a special place. It has so many different rivalries and different coaching legacies and things like that. But tonight, this was really cool to see because obviously the charge was just led by the sideline more than anything, than even the players on the floor. But all of those guys in the building kind of fed off of it, man. And just what a great environment, man. It's just fun to be around this. And, you know, these type of nights, you just don't want them to end.
Yep. We were able to talk with Dan Hurley after the game about the environment that we played in, that we saw the games get played in tonight. Let's get to that interview now. Now, let me welcome onto the field of 68 After Dark, UConn head coach Dan Hurley, fresh off of a win over St. John's in the Garden. Dan, that was as wild of an atmosphere as I've seen in the Garden in 15 years coming to games here.
I just think that in every way that game delivered. You know, it's rare, the anticipation of the game, you know, once they won yesterday and the possibility, you know, of the matchup and the, you know, I just think it lived up to the hype. It had a little bit of everything. It had high-level shot making. It had obviously a lot of passion, intensity. It was just, I think, you know, if you were at this game or you watch it on TV, it doesn't get better than that.
You seem to thrive in that kind of environment. Your guys, Tristan and Cam specifically, never seem to get rattled. Like, that was the thing that stood out to me the most about this game, is that it's going nuts everywhere in the building, and Tristan's just kind of out there like, yeah, you know, I'm going to put up 25 and 9, one turnover against the pressure for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
How comforting is it to know that you have those guys to be able to handle that situation?
I just think Tristan, and it took me a while to have the level of appreciation that I probably should have had from the start of, you know, if you've got a lot of fire, you got to have some ice. And our backcourt is fire and ice. It's the best backcourt in the country. And, you know, just the respect that Tristan's earned and what he's done in big games and as a national champion. And, you know, I think we play off each other really, really well. And probably change the way I recruit. I'll probably look for some more calm customers moving forward to balance out my absolute insanity.
So make sure you got one Cam on your teams every year, right?
Well, I kind of love that, right? I think, you know, twins, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger or some shit.
Which one is Danny DeVito out of those two?
In worse shape.
Yeah. You're in a chance to make it to the Big East title game here. And I know that we talked about it in before the season, that you were trying, that was a thorn in your side. You won the national championship, you didn't win the Big East championship. You got the Big East regular season title. What would it mean to pick up this Big East tournament title?
I just think right now for this group of players, and, you know, for Cam Spencer and then the holdovers from last year that are going for big things, it's like hitting for the cycle. It's like going for the quadruple crown, man. And the one thing that Tristan Newton and Caravan and Klingon and Sampson and Hassan and the coaching staff is missing is the Big East Tournament Championship. So I think that's something that drives us. I also think that, you know, the level that programs like Houston and Purdue have played at this year and the excellence, I think that's pushed us as well. We look at what the top programs are doing, and, you know, that's been really, really motivating as well.
You said in the press conference that you asked for the fan in red, who I guess he's going to be famous now, the guy in red, to stay.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to have a fan get kicked out of the game at this point?
I mean, when I walked through the tunnel, obviously there were a bunch of Seton, I'm sure they were there too, St. John's fans waiting for me, that almost fell through the awning to call me, you know, a bunch of words that you don't even hear in Jersey City. But he was way out of line. You know, he should have been removed organically. I shouldn't have had to point that out. But then, like, I didn't want him to stay because I think he's a good guy. I want him to stay strictly for selfish purposes because we were up at the half. If we were down 2 at the half, I probably would have had him.
Well, just say you're selfless here. Dan Hurley, forever selfless, keeping fans in the game.
I have a soft side to me.
All right, welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. Matt, you were able to catch up with Coach Hurley afterwards, and you said you have a little bit of insight into his fan interactions.
Well, I would say this. Hurley has now entered into a situation where he has had encounters on the road against Creighton, against Providence. Those are at the end of games, and now this was a different kind of fan in the middle of the game. And I would just... he's got to now, this has to be dialed back. Some of it I understand is justified because he's worried about his safety walking off the floor. And Hurley would even admit this, it has now become a thing. And now that it has become a thing, you will have fans that will feel enabled to try and, you know, lure him in like that. And so I don't know if it'll happen in the NCAA tournament, but now this has to be dialed back and curved back for him.
I think it's more. You're 100% right, but I think it's more about road environments than it is about going to the NCAA tournament and the neutral court environments. Listen, we got to talk about Marquette. We have a Big East legend. We have a tall cappuccino here with us, and we're going to talk about Marquette's win over Providence and the fact that we got to be enemies tomorrow, man. We're not going to be friends for a while. That's coming up next.
By now, you guys have surely heard about Autograph, an app founded by Tom Brady with the intention of disrupting the way that fans consume content covering their favorite teams. This is how the app works. All of the podcasters, bloggers, and digital creators covering a team have their content sent to that team's page in the Autograph app. Instead of having to bounce from site to site or trying to navigate the safer workspaces on Twitter, you can just scroll through Autograph. This isn't a hard sell. This is the truth. I am a UConn fan, and I use the Autograph app to keep up with the writers I read and the pods that I listen to about UConn basketball. The best part is that every piece of content that you consume gives you reward points. The more you get, the more chances you have at things like discounted tickets to games and the grand prize, a trip to the LA Regional and a spot in a suite for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games. Here's the best part. We've partnered with Autograph to donate $1 to the V Foundation every time someone downloads the app using the code F68, with a minimum of $2,500 getting donated. The app is free. So download, use the code F68, help us raise a little bit of money for cancer research, and give Autograph a try. I promise you it will be worth it. And while we're here, a quick reminder, make sure that you subscribe to the Daily. We have new landing pages with deep dives into each coaching change, as well as a tracker that provides scouting reports on the transfers that have entered the portal that you are going to want to know about. Hit the link below to subscribe.
There's a lot going on here on the Field of 68 after dark. We are live. Rob Dauster, Matt Norlander, you can't tell. Jerel McNeal, you can't tell. We have a special guest over here that you're going to see in a second when we bring it up. Fanta,
this is
the man,
amazing.
the myth, the legend. Take it over. I'm going to go fix the camera really quick.
Good evening, everybody, from Madison Square Garden, where we watched two amazing semifinals tonight. You had UConn and St. John's, which you gentlemen have hit on. Yes. And then in game two, you have Marquette and Providence. And you know, game two coming in the night, the thought was, well, Patino, Hurley, that's the main event. That's the main event. And it was the main event. And the man in the red coat will forever be my spirit animal for a variety of reasons.
Are you sure about that? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, because
Tom O'Grady?
Yeah, Tom O'Grady will whenever we bring up his name, we'll just know, we'll be able to identify an Irish guy in a red coat. Having said this, in game two tonight, what I saw from this man's Marquette Golden Eagles, from Jerel McNeal's Marquette Golden Eagles, was a testament to the program that Shaka Smart has built in a very short period of time, was a statement made by Cam Jones, who, by the way, told me post-game, F him, when I asked him about not being all Big East by the coaches. He pulled a page out of Tyler Kolek's book.
Yeah.
And it was a result for Marquette.
Did he say F? Or did
no,
he
used the full word, Robert.
Okay.
He used the full word. Yes, he did. But it also, Jerel, like Providence punched, and the way that the game was shifting, it felt like Providence was going to pull it.
Yep.
Was going to be able to pull it out, but Marquette wouldn't let that happen. What improved the most about your Golden Eagles tonight? What did they show you?
I mean, it was an absolute culture win. You hit it right on the head, John. Shaka Smart, the job he's done over these years. These are games, I would say, 3 or 4 years ago, Marquette has no shot at winning.
I agree.
And they have a culture now. And even with injuries, guys like, we all know how great TK is, Kolek is, and how big of a piece and how instrumental he is to their success. But when you got guys like Oso and Cam, like you said, just coming in, man, seeing absolute red from the moment he stepped onto the floor in the Garden, he's been spectacular. And what a good game, man. Marquette got a little bit of separation earlier in the first half. And we all just know this Providence team. You got to tip your hat to them and Kim English as well,
and Devin
man.
Carter, man.
Devin Carter, at
Smokes.
one point, I just thought he was just going to pass out die from exhaustion on the court, man. And, you know, just when you get ready to count them out and say, man, maybe they don't have enough gas left in the tank to pull it off, man, here they come. And boy, did this building get loud when they started to make that run in the second half.
I will say this. We talked last night about how there was a level of emotion from Kim English that I don't think, and you could probably test this too, I don't think that we've seen out of him before, from the technical foul to the celebration. Like, he's more of a stoic guy, right? I would consider Cam Jones a relatively stoic guy on the court. And you know what? He was not stoic tonight, man. He got into it with Devin Carter there for a little bit. There was a foul call over here in the first half where he came out of it and he comes flexing like this, mad at the ref. He had the runner over here. You saw it. The runner right in front of us. You were like, ooh. That's what Jerel had him with. And then Cam starts walking down the court. He's got the strut going. Like, he had it tonight, man. It was a different level of Cam Jones that we saw. And it was one where I think he's kind of saying this can be my team too when it needs to be.
I think that's important, and he has been the leading scorer for this team, and he has been a very, very big piece. But sometimes it takes stepping up stages like this, moments like this, biggest month of the year, and carrying this team. And he may well have to do it again in a huge spot on Saturday, because I talked to Shaka Smart afterward, and Shaka also said this with Fanta on Big East. Well, it's not Big East shoot around. What was it? Is it still Big East shoot around? I didn't know shoot around if that was pregame and then it was
the show did not get canceled.
Okay.
It's still there. They have the set back there. You saw it, right? Did you get an invite on?
Not a chance. Which is why I'm torpedoing.
You know who got an invite on?
Yeah. Him. Yeah.
Jerel McNeal.
Listen.
You know what I love about it? Jerel McNeal brought his Field of 68 polo. You know what he wore on there?
I should have switched it.
He wore a hoodie.
I should have switched it sooner. I didn't know.
Wow, I was in the middle of making this is worse than the Ion College Basketball Podcast on Sports, where I should co-host with Gary Parrish. You'll get your Selection Sunday show on Sunday night, by the way.
Are there?
There's more of us than there are of them, and the real ones watching and listening understand that. The point I was going to make, was this: Shaka Smart said, because I said, listen, Shaka, you're locked on the 2 line. You cannot get a 1, and you will not fall to a 3. So really, is that a fact? I was like, actually, it is. Like, this is, I promise. So with that in mind, knowing that your seat is locked, and you want to play for a championship, that's plenty, but you want Tyler Kolek healthy as can be for the first NCAA tournament game. Like, will that factor into your thinking as a coaching staff, even knowing that he has to get cleared by the trainer? And Shaka kind of gave like a half yes, half no. I got the vibe off of Shaka that they are going to be overly cautious. We'll see if I'm wrong. It's Kolek. So Kolek could go legend tomorrow night. But he can make the oblique injury worse. That's the thing. It's not all the way better. It's like Shaka told me, it's like a tender hammy. And so is it worth it for him to play in this spot tomorrow night? Yes, they'd love to go back-to-back Big East tournament champions. No doubt about it. But when it comes to the thing that matters, which success in the tournament, Marquette didn't even make the second weekend last year. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if he plays tomorrow night. I'd
be surprised. Yeah. And I don't see him playing.
He has to get medically cleared.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not medically cleared, obviously he's not playing. I would say, based on the post-game conversations that you had with Shaka Smart and that we had on our show with Shaka Smart, that the percentage of being medically cleared is still less than 50%. Like, it's not a strong chance that he's waking up tomorrow and the doctor's like, yep, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's the take of, if he plays and he does something to it, then it's an unforgivable thing, because it's like you just ruined your chance at going on a potentially amazing March Madness run. Remember, Shaka Smart's only ever made the second weekend of the NCAA tournament one time in his career with VCU.
Can I make an argument here about something, though? I think that this injury, let's just put into context, like, assuming he is back, and when he gets back, he's healthy and he's playing well, and you know, he's able to, in the 2:15 game, get his rhythm a little bit, get his timing a little bit, so that when he gets the second game, he's ready to go. The fatigue, he's there. I think this could end up being a blessing in disguise, because it helped this team to kind of figure out who they are when Tyler isn't Tyler. Because what we saw 3 times this year, right? 3 times in Big East play before he got hurt. When they lost, Tyler was bad.
Absolutely, and I think you hit my major point, and that's the only thing that I kind of worry about. All you guys are correct. I think they should kind of err on the side of caution right now. This is a team, and this team, I know that their mentality from the moment that they got 4 out of their 5 starters back from last year has been about March. It's okay, we won the Big East in the regular season. We won the conference title. We made history in that way, but they came up a little bit short, and they didn't make it to the Sweet 16 last year, losing to Michigan State. So this team has been destined about getting to Arizona. So
That's what they want.
Not if I know Kolek like I think I know him, they'll probably have to leave his ass at the hotel.
I agree, Jerel. That's the thing. If in some inkling that he does get cleared, that kid's wired only one way. And Smart told our show that Kolek, when the team got back to the locker room tonight after the game, Kolek looked at his teammates and said, hey, fellas, how about I go tomorrow night? He said that. Now, Shaka said, obviously, that's not how this works. But here's the thing, Matt. If Kolek's cleared, he is the type of guy, the way he's wired, he's going to feel that he owes it to his teammates that he should play. And there's an extra effect here. You know what that is? A hatred towards UConn.
I know. And especially
it's real.
And they didn't have Kolek for the second game. Yep. And the first one was a boat racing. Yep. And Cam Spencer just strutting all over the floor against Marquette. There is the potential. See, here's my. I'm gonna do my Goodman here. Here's my take on the game tomorrow night. Okay, listen. And again, listen.
By the way, briefly, 10 seconds. I was texting with him about the man in the red jacket, and he goes, "No one cares. The storyline is stupid." If he were here live,
oh my God, forget about it. We wouldn't be off the topic yet. Okay,
the guy would be on our show.
Yeah,
he'd be on right now.
Yeah, and it would be just him and Goodman. Yeah, absolutely.
He'd become a member of Field of 68.
He'd have his own podcast, Tom O'Grady podcast.
Exactly.
I do Focus Water, which is the company he founded.
And again, anyway, listen. So for tomorrow night, I think that the intensity level that Marquette will bring to this game doesn't mean that it's going to win. UConn's absurdly talented. Okay, but. And UConn, I'd say 75-25 UConn fans in this building tomorrow night, probably.
Yeah. Marquette fans better than I thought.
They'll show up.
There was a good contingent of Marquette fans.
Maybe it'll be closer to.
I will tell you this:
70-30.
As soon as Providence lost, the prices for the tickets to get in the door.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. But there will be a great buzz in this building. And even though Marquette doesn't have a lot to gain from a tournament perspective, because it doesn't really, NCAA tournament,
neither does UConn.
That's completely correct. But UConn, like, they're maniacs about this. Like
Kemba, they want to do it
everything that's associated with that. I expect a rabid Marquette team to show up, whether or not Kolek plays.
And I would just say this: I agree with you, and I agree that Connecticut, Providence, the ticket prices and all that. I will say this though. Providence fans aren't going to like this, but if it was Connecticut Providence tomorrow, not a fourth game in as many days against this UConn team.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that Providence was showing that they were tired tonight.
They were gassed.
Now, here's the question. Does Providence get into the NCAA tournament?
Oh.
I mean, it's fascinating. I'll quick on the numbers on this. I'll bring it up for you. Providence right now.
No major blemishes.
There's no blemishes. 57 in the net.
Here's what's going to happen with them.
6 quad 1 wins. Not a single
look
Q3,
at what happened
Q4
without
loss.
Bryce Hopkins. That's what's going to end up costing them.
Potentially. You might be right about that. It's something to consider. They've got some good wins since then. Overall, here's the thing. 9 and 13 in Q1 and Q2. I get nervous once you get into 4 games sub 500 in the top 2 quadrants, and there's not a bad loss for Q3, Q4. I get a little bit nervous there. I don't know. And by the way, I know we got a break here. NC State beat Virginia in OT tonight. That is a bid thief lurking, going to play in the title game. You got that. You got Oregon. If FAU doesn't get the auto, but there are many bid thieves still lurking out there, and it's going to maybe pick off a Providence or go down the list, man. There's a ton.
Yeah, the bubble constricted a little bit tonight. And honestly, like, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like with Texas A&M beating Kentucky. With Texas A&M beating Kentucky, that puts Texas A&M in the spot where, despite the fact that they have 4 freaking quad 3 losses,
They're probably going to be in the tournament. They just got too many good wins. Listen, when we get back, we're going to have to lose Matt Norlander, and we're going to make an addition that probably is going to bring. It's going to be subtraction by addition. You heard addition by subtraction.
Yeah,
subtraction by addition.
Tough.
That's Jeff Goodman.
The best month of the year is here, which is why you need to know that we are now partnered with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 all through the NCAA tournament. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not that bet hits. Here's the best part. All you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your hard-earned money. This is how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you get up to $1,500 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Most importantly, we do have some fun stuff coming for the conference tournaments and especially for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boost, and what I love the most, a nice parlay boost for anything you could possibly imagine betting on in the NCAA tournament, from odds and getting an at-large bid to Final Four futures to the highest seed to make to the Sweet 16. I'm calling it right now. BetMGM is the king of the prop bet for your March Madness needs. So go download the BetMGM app, use the code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request: the best way to support the Field of 68 and our content you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the pod, like and share the YouTube videos, tell your friends about us. It helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. It is past midnight on the East Coast, and now we head all the way out to Kansas City, to the land of Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. In the presence of greatness is Jeff Goodman, not on the 17th floor of that building. Where are you right now at the Big 12 tournament?
No, like I'm actually I bought a thing of Kleenex for the nosebleeds. Up there. Norlander, get the hell out of the shot. Get out of the shot, Norlander. You're done.
So Jeff,
You're toast.
Matt Norlander did a great job. The other press corps did a great job tonight. Here at the Big East tournament, we had UConn beat St. John's 95-90. It was coaches got teed up by James Breeding back-to-back. But in the midst of that stands Tom O'Grady, courtside, in a red jacket. This is one of Rick Pitino's backers. He became the story of the night. He held his own media availability. What's your reaction?
Clown show? I mean, complete clown show? The fact that everybody was huddled around this dude? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We've got good games, and we're worried about this dude and what he was saying to Dan Hurley? Like, come on. Complete clown show.
You wouldn't have participated in that.
No, he would have been there. He would have been the guy that set it all up. He would have been boxing out.
Probably true. Yeah, that's probably true.
He was probably.
Yeah, he would have been.
I would have thrown Zagoria to the ground in that mosh pit of a deal. He would have been thrown to the ground.
Let's get to the number one seed, Jeff, because if we
Right,
go down this road,
let's go.
It's going to get ugly. Let's get to the number one seed.
Hey, listen, wait, guys. Just know I have watched now 2, 4, 10. I think 10, 12. I don't know how many games I've watched. 12 games. 12 Big 12 games. I haven't seen a good game yet. The best game I saw was West Virginia.
We've seen
the last 4 games here have been absolutely electric. And if you wanted to,
yeah, thanks.
There's a seat right here that's open. You were invited. We had a hotel room for you. We gave it to Jerel McNeal. I think we actually upgraded.
I appreciate it.
Did you? What have you seen? Let me ask you this, Jeff. Jeff, let me ask you this. At the Big 12 tournament, what's the biggest thing? Who's the player? Who's the team that stood out to you the most beside Houston? We know how good Houston is.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's banged up here. But I've fallen in love with Iowa State. I really have. And just the way they play, it's similar to Houston in some ways. Obviously, they're not quite as good defensively, but it all starts with the point guard. And Tamin Lipsey is he's so understated in kind of what he does. But he's similar to Jamal Shead in some ways, right? He's a great defender. He runs the team. He picks his spots. He has all the intangibles. It starts with him. TJ Otzelberger, man, the job he has done with this group is absolutely amazing. Keyshawn Gilbert's been terrific as obviously an addition coming from UNLV. And they just have good pieces. And I hope we get TJ on here soon. I think we will, to just talk about like this team and how they've been able to do this, because he didn't see this coming, guys. He didn't see this coming. Nobody saw this coming. And the other thing is, Iowa State's going to be a 2 seed now, whether they win or lose tomorrow against Houston in the championship game. And they're going to be down the road, not far, in Omaha, which is a major home court advantage. And you could see, honestly, the crowd, the way they travel is insane. Before the game, there was like a rally in the square here in Kansas City, and it was crazy. So, again, I think this is a team that we all overlooked. And throughout the year, it was like, it's a cute story. Kind of like South Carolina, right? It's a cute story. It's a cute story. South Carolina fell a little bit. Iowa State did not fall.
Yeah, and I don't think we're talking about them enough, to be frank. And we'll continue this conversation if and when TJ shows up. I want to ask you guys about the 1 seeds, because I think outside of the man in the red coat, I think to me the biggest storyline in college basketball today was Tennessee going down, was Arizona going down, was Kentucky going down.
Yes.
3 of the teams, following up the Duke loss yesterday, 3 of the teams that we picked to say, like, these are the teams that can win the national title, they all lost today. Jerel, how concerned are you about any of those teams? And who do you think, well, let's start with that. Who do you think is going to be, is it North Carolina's now, that 4th number 1 seed?
I think it has to be North Carolina, and obviously,
even if they lose tomorrow to NC State.
I think so. I think so. Who else do you go to after that? Tennessee. Tennessee got boat race today, but they've been really good down the stretch and pretty much better part all year. But I think North Carolina's done enough to kind of cement themselves as a 1 seed. They're the best team we see. They don't have a ton of really bad losses, and they handle business in the conference tournament. Duke got upended pretty early on by NC State, so I think they got to be their next number 1 seed.
I agree with that. I mean, you take a look at it here. Tennessee 7-6 against Quadrant 1. North Carolina's 8-3. I know they've played a couple of less games, but I think it belongs to North Carolina. I really do. I think that they're the final number 1 seed. It's really hard for me. And I know that sometimes we overvalue conference tournament week, which I guarantee you on Selection Sunday, there's going to be a team left out that we thought helped themselves quite a bit this week. And then we find out that the committee, again, doesn't value championship week, Jeff, as much as we would like to think. But, Jeff, do you agree that Carolina should be the final number 1 seed?
I don't know. I'm going to ask my guest next to me. Do you agree that Carolina should be the final number 1 seed?
I don't know anything about all that stuff. My boss is on the committee. I just know we had a great game tonight, and we got another opportunity.
Come on, we brought you on for bracketology.
Yeah, I don't know anything
we didn't bring you on for anything else, just bracketology.
I don't know anything about that. I'm no good in math.
We know that. We know that. Listen. So you remember when we were in the Atlantis earlier this year in August? I'm not going to tell the story of how scary you are to your players.
Appreciate that.
But I am going to tell the story of you talking to me about your team in the preseason. Do you want me to repeat what you said to me?
No, I think it was probably something like, what a great group of guys. If they do the hard work every day and come together, we know what a great season they can have. And fortunately, guys have done that.
It was actually something to the effect of, I'm not sure how good we are. We're young. I'm not sure how good we are. When did you actually think, you know what, like, I think we got a chance here? Because I was saying this to these guys earlier. I was like, all right, you guys in South Carolina were the cute story after a month, 2 months. And then it's like, you keep winning. And it's like, maybe they're not just a cute story anymore. Yeah. Maybe they're really good.
Well, I think for us, we started league play, went to Oklahoma, lost our first league game, put us against the wall, and then came back and had an opportunity against Houston. And the respect that we have for the program and how great they are, and our guys came out and got out to a 14-0 lead and won that game. And you can see in our locker room, you still have to beat a really good team. And Houston kept coming back. We made some big shots late. And so that win, you can tell, really gave our guys some confidence in what we'd be able to do. And as you know, in the league, I mean, every game's so hard, so you've got to just keep your focus on the next thing. This group a great job.
Fun with
Cut him. Jeff Goodman can't figure out technology. Use your AirPods like a microphone. There you go.
but we're gonna.
Oh my gosh, this guy.
Can you hear me?
Use
Can you hear us?
cut him. Listen, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to break real quick. When we get back, we're gonna continue this interview with TJ Otzelberger. When technologically sound Jeff Goodman can figure things out over there. We'll be right back.
There is nothing better in sports than tournament time, which is why I need to tell you guys about our partners over at Rhythm. If you're into sports betting, you need Rhythm, the place for data-backed props and picks. For those that are unfamiliar, Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, is the go-to mobile app for player props and game picks. Backed by AI predictive models, Rhythm helps you make smarter and faster betting decisions across all sports, but particularly college basketball. With Rhythm, you get data-backed picks for every single Division I game, every single day. Users get free picks daily with the ability to upgrade to unlimited access. If you want to increase your edge and win more bets, go to the link in the description and download Rhythm today. That's RITHMM, the place for data-backed props and picks. And while we're here, let me tell you about our newest partner for the month of March, Splash Sports, the home of certified community competition, where you get to play against your friends and not the house. Whatever game it is that you are playing, from survivors to tiers to pick X, the safest way to play for real money without the hassle of having to track down deposits or worry about payments is through Splash. They have partnered with PaySafe, the best deposit and payment system in the world, to ensure that money stays in safe hands and is delivered to the right places. To join the Field of 68 Survivor Madness, click the link in our profile below and join in. Entries are $5 a pop with a prize pool of up to $4,500. Winner take all. Join Splash and come prove that you're smarter than us.
All right, welcome back. Field of 68 After Dark. We're going to try this again because I suck at technology. So we're going to try it again here with TJ Otzelberger, Iowa State head coach. Big win over Baylor. Not as close as I thought it would be, or maybe you thought it would be, but you guys made shots and you defend. I mean, man, like, you're fun to watch because you're connected. You defend pretty much every game, and when you make shots, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for Coach Drew and Baylor's program. We knew we were going to have to play really well to have a chance to win, and we did that. It does start with our defense, setting the tone. Taman and Keyshawn are both elite on-ball defenders, and they do a great job getting us started. And then, as you mentioned, offensively, Milan hits a three right away. Taman hits a couple. We had that rhythm going, and our guys felt good and really shared the ball for one another.
So earlier in the year, you guys were kind of a Cinderella type story, right? You and South Carolina came out and everybody's like, it's a cute story, but they're going to fall off at some point, right? Nobody knows who you are. South Carolina's players. You keep winning. When did you kind of start to think, you know what, maybe we are for real here?
Yeah, I think a big gut check moment for us is we went on the road to Oklahoma in the first league game. We took a loss. Defensively late in the game, we didn't get stops. They did a great job executing. Our guys came back, and you could tell they were hungry to get a win. We came out. We had an opportunity against Houston. At the time, they were undefeated. We got out to a 14-0 lead, managed to hang on, hit some big shots late. You could see our guys in the locker room after starting to think, okay, if we can beat these guys, who are as good as anybody, if not the best team in the country, what can we do night in, night out? We really dedicated ourselves to just continue to do the hard work, stay the course, play for one another. And now that's showing up for us offensively as well, which really gives us a chance.
You guys are similar to Houston in a lot of ways, right? Your culture, your defense, your toughness. Do you look at Kelvin Sampson and like, hey, that's a guy I kind of want to model, the program around and what I do?
We look at the culture he's built there and the sustainability of success, the pride his guys have in their program, how hard they play every possession. What coach wouldn't want their program to be like that? And so for us, we're just trying to build every single day. It's something they've done over a long haul. We're 3 years into this now, and I think when you really build culture and sustainability, it's an everyday thing. You got to fight for it, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
So when we were in the Bahamas in August, took my daughter there, and you came down. You were with your family, with the team, obviously, too. And I tried to get you down to play some blackjack. Your team was having a blast. They're sitting around the table playing some blackjack with all their NIL money and having so much fun. You walked down there, and it was like they saw, like, King Kong or something. What happened?
Yeah.
Why are they so scared of you?
Well,
You're not that scary.
I used to be a lot more fun than I am now.
You are not. You're not fun anymore.
I think
what happened to you?
Well, I think what happens is they get nervous. My shirts sometimes can be so tight. They're worried if it's going to cut off the oxygen flow. So I think it's more their health concern, that they're worried for me as a person, and maybe it just makes them a little uneasy at times.
How much time do you spend in the gym a day? No.
Probably 90 minutes every morning.
Every morning?
Yep.
How do you find time? You have kids, young kids, you coach a team.
Because I'm not very smart, I just do the same thing every single day.
The routine.
I go to bed at the same time, I wake up at the same time, and I don't try to overthink it because then I'll screw it up.
How crazy is it that we're talking about you being a 2 seed next week? I mean, you're pretty much locked in. I know it's not a guarantee or anything, but you see it everywhere. You're probably going to be a number 2 seed. Has it hit you what you guys have done this year?
Yeah, I think just like, our guys, we're all in the moment, right? Like it's literally like I haven't paid a lot of attention to other games out there. It's not that I'm not excited about it, but you're just so in the moment with your guys. And I know that there's not a lot of years you can have a group as connected as what we have, and you want to make sure that you maximize what this group can do. So we are literally in the moment, just excited to get the win tonight, on to Houston tomorrow, and then we'll take it as it comes from there.
Last question. Could George Niang have played on this team, which is so tough, defensive-minded? Could he have gotten on the court with this group?
I think he would have been a guy that you'd see running in and out a lot. It would have been great for his conditioning.
That's
true. He would have been in great shape because every defensive error, he probably would have came out. But then we'd start the game trying to do the offense-defense substitution because we know there's not been a guy I've coached offensively that's more skilled and gifted than George. But, we try to actually give effort on defense as well.
Listen, thanks. Congrats.
Appreciate
And good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
You got it. All right, TJ Otzelberger, head coach at Iowa State. Hell of a year. Hell of a year, Rob.
Tell TJ he's off screen and he can leave now. Thank you, TJ. Always a pleasure to hear from you, my man. And make sure you give Goodman some workout tips. He's going to really need those. All right, Jerel, I want to talk about the carnage in the SEC because I think we were talking about it earlier. I think that's the biggest storyline for me. We saw Tennessee lose. We saw Alabama get smacked. We saw the Kentucky that doesn't want to defend decide to show up. So which one of those 3 teams are you the most worried about?
Ooh. I would for sure say Alabama. And it's it's basically because they don't guard anybody. They don't guard anybody this year, and they're a really talented team offensively. They got guys that can score the ball. Most nights that I watch them play, they're in the high 80s or the 90s when the game finishes. But on 85% of those nights, they're giving up about the same amount as well too, man. So and a lot of times to bad offensive teams that struggle scoring the ball. So I definitely see them as a team that could quite easily run into one of these small schools in the early rounds and just get absolutely lit up. Somebody gets hot from the 3-point line or whatever it may be. But I'm seriously concerned about Alabama going into this thing.
Yeah, the defense is a big issue. We talked about Kentucky's defense all season long. I think that the Alabama defense is a much bigger issue. When it comes to Kentucky, I don't feel any differently than I did before tonight's performance. I think that they are they kind of are what they are. And there's going to be nights where this happens. And there's going to be nights where somebody like a Wade Taylor and a Boots Radford, when they go nuts and Kentucky is not playing their A game offensively, this is kind of what you are going to get from them. This is part of the deal in my mind, Goodman.
I mean, listen, Kentucky is what they are. You're right. Like, whether they won the whole SEC tournament or lost tonight, it really doesn't change my opinion either. They can get hot. They can beat anybody. And it's not like Texas A&M's a bad team. I mean, they've underachieved most of the year. And this type of game is perfect for Wade Taylor. These are the games he's built for, right? Go up and down It's like a track meet, an AU game in a way. He was efficient tonight. It plays right into what Wade Taylor wants to do. And again, listen, Texas A&M, they've got those bigs. They can rebound. Kentucky really doesn't have good bigs still. And that, again, is going to worry me because I think it's going to catch up with them at some point in the tournament.
Yeah. And we saw it catch up with them tonight. And again, it doesn't change to me who they are, what they can be, and where I think that their postseason can be headed. That team can get to – I think they can get to Phoenix. And I think that my guess –
Do you?
I'm going to have them
Do you,
Phoenix
though?
in my bracket. Yes, absolutely. I think they can get to Phoenix. And the biggest reason I think that is there aren't very many guys like Wade Taylor out there, right? Like, there's a reason why Wade Taylor is Wade Taylor. There's a reason he was the SEC preseason player of the year. Now, does that mean that they are going to – like, I think that UConn kind of is inevitable at this point. I think as long as, you know, it looks like
Inevitable. Inevitable.
It does. It feels like
Jerel,
it. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Jerel, are you going to let him get away with that? Inevitable?
I'm just waiting till tomorrow, Jeff. I'm just waiting till tomorrow, Jeff.
Hey, is Coley coming out with a cape?
I would call the tall cappuccino out if he didn't admit that he said the same thing over there courtside. No, but like I think UConn is a machine at this point. I think that Houston is a machine at this point, assuming they stay healthy. I think Purdue is about as close as you can get to those three. And I think North Carolina is like they're really, really damn good. Beyond the top three and maybe the top four, I think once you get past that, any one of those, all those teams got warts. And if you were to tell me that anybody else in the country loses in the second round, yeah, I get it. If you tell me any of those, like that next group of 10 makes the Final Four, I'm like, yeah, they can absolutely do that. So yes, I absolutely do think that Kentucky's good enough to make the Final Four. It's just, you know, they are not matchup proof. I think that's the best way to say it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll say that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff. I was just gonna say. I say that. I mean, I would feel a little bit different. Like Kentucky is easily. They have the talent to get there. I would feel a little bit better. Like if they just like defensively even tried to scheme up more stuff. Clearly, they don't guard the ball well enough as a unit, just man to man. But I feel like we just see the same thing every single time. And you know, and they just can't stop anybody. So like, even if they mixed in or switched in some zone or something like that, man, I feel like they, you know, they kind of like if Calipari mixed it up a little bit more, they would probably be able to keep teams off balance enough. Where I say, yeah, I could see them getting to a Final Four because they definitely had a talent, but they're the same way. Like Alabama's not as talented as Kentucky, and neither one guards. So
yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just don't think they're going to put four together. But I'm with you. Like I watch Iowa State, and again, I watched Houston tonight, and I was just like, man, you know, the time I'd seen them before was against Kansas at Kansas, and they looked terrible. But you watch them tonight, and you're just like, Jamal Shead is like some sort of combo of Jalen Brunson and Fred VanVleet. That's who he is. Again, I don't know if he'll be that in the NBA.
VanVleet is the perfect comparison for him, I think. VanVleet is the perfect
But he's got some Brunson in him, too. He's got some Brunson in him in terms of the intangibles. And that's – Shed is like, man, he is just so much fun to watch, and he can be coached so hard by Kelvin Sampson. And Juwan Roberts, I mean, like, the dude wouldn't stay out of the game. Like, he could barely walk, and he would not stay out of a game. Do
you have an update on that, by the way? Do you have an update on the injury?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Kelvin earlier, and he said it's not bad. Like, he's going to want to play tomorrow, Juwan Roberts. He's going to want to play, and Kelvin basically said, hey, listen, I don't think I'm going to play him. But, again, he's going to try to convince him to play him. He also was playing with, like, 15 stitches a couple weeks ago. Like, this kid is a tough MFer, and that's what Houston's built on. So, again, Emmanuel Sharp is the most important player on that team right now. He's the most important player because if he has an off game, they can't score enough points. But I love this. The top 6 or 7 for Houston, trust me, they can hang with anybody. They can win the whole thing this year.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I want to get to the Big Ten because we saw
Purdue hang on against Michigan State, and we saw Illinois hang on against Ohio State. You can see there we got the semis coming up tomorrow: Illinois, Nebraska, Purdue, and Wisconsin. Jerel, I want to hit you with this because we watched that Purdue game. You were locked in on the Illinois game. You got some kids, you're a Chicago guy. You're Main Streets program. Is there anything you can take away from Illinois and needing a little bit of a comeback against Ohio State?
No, I wouldn't say there's anything that you could take away. And I'm really not surprised. More than anything, I continue to be impressed by Ohio State because at the end of the day, they had another opportunity to scare the hell out of some of these bubble teams. I would say just the longer they hung in it and just in contention to possibly steal another bid. But Ohio State is I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. They're a different team. They're a different team, and they played really well again tonight. Illinois is obviously a better team, and they were able to come up with enough plays down the stretch to put them away. But look, I've been bullish on this for a while now. Illinois is going to be a team. If they get off to a hot start, they are going to be trouble to get rid of.
They show me something. They show me every time I watch them. I feel a little bit more, and it's a very disconcerting feeling because it never feels comfortable trusting them. But you watch them, and it's like they're starting to kind of piece it together defensively. They're starting to kind of figure it out. And our producer Trevor can speak to this a little bit more because that dude loves Illinois.
Absolutely.
He loves Illinois more than I love UConn, more than you love Marquette, and more than Jeff Goodman loves desserts.
No, more than I like this Boulevard Brewing Company beer.
The Boulevard is great. Goodman. Yeah, Goodman, your title pick in the vaulted bracket challenge. The Ohio State Buckeyes took a rough one tonight, man. Are you going to be okay?
You got to roll out. You can't go with all favorites. That's what people don't get when you pick these things. You can't just go favorite every time, and you got to go against Bobby D a little bit here and there too. So I just rolled the dice a little bit with Ohio State. I will say too with Ohio State, I got a text from somebody not too long ago saying, "Don't be surprised, Jake Diebler," and I will be shocked if he gets a job. As I said last night, I will be shocked. I still think it's going to be Dusty May at the end of the day, but Jake Diebler certainly. If they don't get Dusty May,
we told him you should have listened to us.
We
should have listened to us.
But I think they're going to get Dusty May.
That guy doesn't know ball.
I think they're going to get Dusty May at the end of the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Dusty's going to be a hot commodity, though, and there's other jobs that are open. Listen, we're going to hang out for about 10 to 15 minutes in the afters. We have a couple interviews that we're going to have to get to here. We'll make sure that we want to get there. Brackets were busted today, though, Jeff. Brackets were busted today, and I don't know if you know this, but we have an expert here. He tried to fix our camera earlier, but it didn't necessarily work. Tristan Freeman of Busted Brackets. We have the star of the show here, Jeff.
No.
We have the star of the show.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have 5 seconds.
This is big.
Jeff Goodman, Tristan.
Hey, Jeff. And hey, let's try to get Pitt in the tournament.
Yeah, let's get Pitt in the tournament. I don't think that's going to happen. He's obviously a Pitt fan. Listen, we appreciate you guys being here. For Jerel McNeal, for Tristan Freeman, Bustin' Brackets, for Jeff Goodman, TJ Otzelberger, we had John Fanta, we had Matt Norlander. We had a loaded show today, and we're going to be tomorrow night, not at the Garden. We're going to be over with our buddy Schaefer, 8th and 18th. We'll see you guys there tomorrow night. All right, good. Appreciate you, man. And we're back. We're back for the afters. Let's. I want to start with this, okay? Cam Jones. We have 2 interviews that I want to make sure we get to, and I want to talk about Purdue here in a second because I do have a question I want to ask these guys. Cam Jones, Jerel, you talked to him. We'll get to that interview right now, but I want to ask you this. He did not make any All Big East team. He was not first team All Big East. He was not second team All Big East. He was not honorable mention All Big East. I don't understand how that can happen, and I think he proved it tonight that it was a ridiculous omission.
No, absolutely, and it's a really quick and easy way to piss a really good player off. Is what that is, especially when they know that the coaches vote on it. So it's a little bit of a slap in the face, and after seeing these guys all year long and Marquette having the season that they had. I thought it was a joke. Obviously, Kolick and Oso had great years as well too, man. But I said this maybe a couple months ago, but like, man, he gets the shaft so much for a guy whose production is high as it is, and now I think the stars kind of align for him. Madison Square Garden, and he's with the Kolick injury. Him and Oso are just having an opportunity to show what they can do in even more in a bigger role, essentially. So he's doing a lot more playmaking with TK out, and that's something I asked him about a little bit in the interview, man. And he's handled it every
Take us
step
there.
of the
Throw
way,
us to the
man.
interview.
So here's my interview here with Cam Jones, Killer Cam. Jerel McNeal with the Field of 68 After Dark. I'm here. Cam Jones. First off, Cam, congratulations on the big win, on the big game out there, advancing to the championship on Saturday night. Just tell me a little bit about the environment in here in the Madison Square Garden on a Friday night, fighting for another championship.
Man, it was great. These are games you dream for. As a kid, you watch these on TV, man, and you pray that you get opportunity to play in these games. So from that perspective, man, I don't take it for granted at all. I don't take one possession for granted, 1 second. Man, it's a lot of fun to be out here in this atmosphere, and we got a sense, nobody really wanted us to win in that crowd. We was hearing it, but it is what it is. We prevail, and that's what we do. Y'all had a stretch there in the first half where I felt like y'all kind of let a little bit of air out of themselves, and we heard the We Are Marquette chants coming in strong a little bit. I think y'all got up to like 15 to 16 points. Yep, and they called a couple timeouts. Just talk a little bit about just taking the punches, because y'all know that Providence is the type of team that's not going to give up. They're not going to fold. They're going to make a run eventually. Right. Man, Big East is a great league. It's a tough, every team, you got to come to play every game. Even if you look at DePaul, you see Villanova and DePaul that game. Absolutely. But, man, the Big East is very tough. Man, yeah, we knew Providence wasn't going to stop fighting. And as us, we're not going to stop fighting either. So we was out there competing and throwing punches, getting up, and, kept swinging. Tell me a little bit about how it changes the team. Obviously, last night, Oso was coming off a night where I think he scored 4 points to finish, but I just saw it early on in the game just how aggressive he was, just even with his own shot, kind of knowing how I feel like Aduro was going to play him, and just, he got it going early tonight, and I think that kind of opened things up, softened up the defense for you and a lot of the other guys. For sure. I mean, one thing I told Oso, man, be you, bro. Be aggressive. Absolutely. Go out there and hoop, man. He's the best big I've ever played with. He's definitely the best big in the country. So, man, just go out there and play your game, man. That's what I tell him, and that's what he did tonight. He was out here assertive. Even on the shots he missed, it was shots that he wanted to take, dipping his shoulder, going up. So, I mean, I love that from him. We need that. Absolutely. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you one about my other guy, too. Tell me a little bit about Stevie, man. I just love his spirit, man. Type of guy, like, I know you feel like you want to play with on your team. Finish the game with 10 points, 8 rebounds, but just all the little things, always around the ball, always getting deflections, takes on the challenge of guarding the other team's best player. Man, we would not be here if it weren't for Stevie Mitchell. Not at all. Man, what he does for us, man, it's beyond words. And it's so consistent. You can count on it. He's going to bring energy every game. He's going to defend hard every game. And we don't take that for granted from him, man. And I'm very appreciative of you. We play on the same team, and I couldn't ask for a better teammate and best friend. Last one I got. We got a UConn fan over here. We 0-2. Yep. We ran the table last year. We got regular season, conference championship. We got to make them work for this next one tomorrow. They got their regular season. We got to make them work for this next one tomorrow. For sure. Let me know what the key is going to be to the game. Man, we got to be ourselves for a full 40 minutes. I think if we do that, we'll be in a great position. Be in a great position. If we be ourselves for 40 minutes, we know they're not going to stop fighting. We're not going to stop fighting. And I love our chances. Thanks a lot, Cam. Appreciate y'all. Good luck tomorrow. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Cam Jones said he's not worried about me. Live in my shoes. I feel pretty good about that. He said he liked my shoes. So I always feel good when our fashion correspondent, Cam Jones, fashion correspondent, Field of 68 After Dark, says a nice thing about your shoes. All right. We also heard from Kelvin Sampson, who Jeff caught up with at the Big 12. Believe it or not, Jeff is actually there trying to do some work. He's actually doing. He apparently accomplished something. He's been there for 4 days. We finally got an interview out of him from the Big 12 tournament. Before we get to that interview, I just want to ask you on this Houston team, right? Like, how difficult is it to develop that level of culture, right? I feel like you guys had something close to that when you were there, when it was you and Wes Matthews and Dominic James and that whole crew, right?
Yep.
How hard is it for you to do that at the college level? And has it gotten more difficult with the transfer portal and how quickly people move these days?
No, absolutely. And I mean, coaching in general at the college level has gotten more difficult just with the transfer portal, the NIL stuff. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but just as a coach, it makes your job a lot harder.
It's different.
And what he's doing just as far as creating cultures is not a one-year job. So it makes it very hard to do that in this climate. And one of the biggest things about it is that, you got to get the right people in the building. That's what it's all about, Rob. And, I experienced it, even though it didn't last forever, long after we left. And, people to this day, they kind of talk to us about our days, and even we didn't win enough, you know what I mean, for whatever reason, you know what I mean, in my opinion. But still, people felt a certain connection to that team and just how we aligned with the school because of how close we were, the way we carried ourselves, and that, nobody was bigger than.
That's why you walk around the crowd here, and every single person's like, "That's Jerel McNeal." That's why we go get lunch, and people stop you and say, "You know who my favorite player was? Big East legend Jerel McNeal."
Unless they're wearing UConn gear, and then it's Rob Dauster, man. I love what you're doing, man. Top dogs, baby. Top dogs.
Hey, look, we're not gonna be friends tomorrow.
No, we're gonna have to on the gloves.
Yeah, it's gonna get a little tough tomorrow. Listen, let's get to that interview. Kelvin Sampson right now from the Big 12 tournament. He might end up winning the national title this year.
All right, Kelvin, big win. I mean, again, they made it close. They did. They made it close at halftime, and then you pulled away. I think you're the best backcourt in the country. I really do. They're tiny, but man, did they play big.
And they play with an edge and toughness about them. And then everything starts with Shed. Shed took his foot off the accelerator a little bit. Coming out of halftime, I didn't like his body language. So I put his ass on the bench and said something to him and walked away.
Can you say what you said to him or no? Can you repeat it?
Well, I can paraphrase. I don't.
Go ahead.
Get your head right.
with probably a few expletives in there in between.
Yeah, but just to clarify, I heard his mother basically say the same thing. So I went to go fist bump her. She, Lisa Shedd and Elvin Shedd's the best, by the way. But and that's why, as a coach, you can't be afraid to coach your best player. I mean, that's at the end of the day, it's about the team and what's best for the team. You can't rationalize.
Juwan gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's a bruise or some contusion.
It's contusion.
But you try to play him in the second half, which most coaches would have said, no way in hell we're going to play him because you got the number 1 seed pretty much locked up here.
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I asked the trainer, Juan didn't like our mindset, and he thought he could go out there and do it. And I think his leg felt a little bit better than it did. And once I saw him go, I pulled the plug on that. No, dude, you sit. We lose, but you're not. Next week's a little bit more important. So
hopefully you'll have him. Yeah. Like you think maybe you play him tomorrow?
No, I doubt I play him tomorrow.
He's going to try to convince you to play him, though.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, I'm going to talk to our trainer. I don't know the extent of his injury, but I know today there was no way I was going to play him. We'll see. I mean, tomorrow it'd be nice to win, but at the end of the day, next week's more important.
So I've seen UConn multiple times in person. I've seen Purdue multiple times in person. I saw you at Kansas. Not the time I wanted to see you in person. Now I've seen you a couple more. No, but I've seen you a couple more here, and I think even though you're undermanned, I think you can win this whole thing.
Well, the loss of Tugler was the one because he and Francis were the same. They're both 40-minute guys, and you could play one 18, the other 22, 20, whatever, and your play's not going to slip. Because a lot of nights, Javier may not have had his juice. Joe did. Joe plays at a high level. Now Jay goes back in. He says, "Okay, I get it. I got to match JoJo." But when you took that from us, we just have to be smarter. The other freshman, Lott, is doing the best he can, and he's raw. That's crude, almost raw crude. But he's immeasurably better today than he was last week. Like tonight, it was, even though it was the end, catching the ball and finishing it. That's a step, man. And then the free throw, it danced around the rim a couple of times. I mean, I've seen those things howitzer off that backboard on the bank shots, and I'm thinking, wait a minute now. But he's improving, and our team
brings our team together. But, injuries are injuries. We've had to deal with them a lot. I don't like talking about them or making excuses. We take our team and do the best we can with it.
You won the Field of 68 Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year award the other day. Where does that rank on the greatest honors of your career? I assume it's high up there.
Oh, well, the fact that I watch you guys doing those your spots, you're all y'all really good at it. But just knowing that that's the group that gave it to me, really,
us knuckleheads. That's right. We only had about 10 beers before we voted.
Yeah, I figured you must have flipped a coin and said, okay, this guy, this guy, this guy. I don't know. How about we give it to the oldest and the ugliest dude? Well, then shit, that's Sampson. Give it to him.
Listen, all I know is you outkicked your coverage with your wife.
There's no doubt about
right?
that. That's no doubt. I'm here today because of that.
All right, listen. Thanks, Kelvin.
Thanks, good. I appreciate it, brother.
That was easily the best interview that Jeff Goodman has ever done in his career as a journalist. That was awesome. Kelvin Sampson is electric, and he was the Field of 68 Coach of the Year, even though there were people in this building that disagreed with that sentiment today, Jerel. Tell that story later. That's not for after's conversation. All right, last thing I want to talk about, Purdue. Braden Smith, it looked like he went down with a knee injury. The way that he landed, the way that he tweaked it, the way that he was down in pain under the basket, I thought that thing was going to be serious. He came back in and played. I haven't seen an update from Matt Painter, but I'm assuming if he came back in the game and played, it probably isn't going to be something that's going to linger that much. It does, though, kind of remind me of the fine margins that team is playing with in the NCAA tournament and in college, for the rest of the season. Because if they look, they are one sprained ankle at the wrong time away from having things blow up. And if they I don't know if there's a team with more pressure on them heading into March, heading into the NCAA tournament than them.
Absolutely. And when we were sitting there watching and he went down, it did not look good. So I was really happy just to see him come back into the game, man. But I got sick for all the Purdue fans watching it. It's just like, oh God, there goes another season down the tubes of having a really great year and probably making an early exit because, at the end of the day, he's that important to that team for them. And like you said, their margin of error is still really slim. They're one sprained ankle, they're one major injury away. But, at this time, I feel like there are a lot of teams that are like that. Some not so much, that are a little bit deeper. But for him, for what he means to their team, him or Edie aren't in or not playing for whatever reason, they're a completely different team.
Yeah, I feel like Purdue at this point, and they get I'm blanking on it. They get Wisconsin in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament tomorrow. And I understand why there's a sentiment against them in the Big Ten, right? It just when you're as good as they've been for the last 2 years, there's going to be back from the other teams in the league. I understand why people are sick of watching Zach Edey play because he is so damn dominant. It is what it is. I get the pushback against him in the Big Ten, but I do feel nationally that at least, I don't know, maybe it's just me in my own bubble, but that's the team that I want to win more than anybody that I'm not specifically a fan of or affiliated with or a graduate of. Because I want it for Paint. And I want it for Zach Edey. And I want it for those guys. And I want it so that they have some kind of reclamation for what happened last season. I want that for them. If they end up, let's just say they get bounced in the second round by an 8 seed or something like that, I'm going to be sick for them. I'm going to feel so bad for that group of guys.
No, I agree with that. And, I feel like they're an easy team to kind of root for. Like you said, if you take your own personal bias out of it and you want to see them do well, especially after just getting, dumped on for the last year and, the early exits and losing to, Fairleigh Dickinson. Yeah,
the Fighting Tobin Anderson is what people call it.
Look, after that and just knowing that they had to go through the mill for weeks and weeks and weeks and hearing about that until the tournament was over, then having to hear about it all offseason, you want them to do well and at least make a deep run. So yeah, they're easy to root for. I'll say the other one is the interview we just had. Man, I would really like to see Kelvin Sampson get one. Man, I love Coach Sampson. He the day I have a son, him, Hurley, Shaka Smart. That's gonna be my list right there. They can have them.
Yeah,
they can have
those are the coaches.
Oh yeah, I want my coach to play for a guy like that. I didn't like his body language, so I sat his ass on the bed. That's my kind of coach right there, man. How could you not like that?
Yeah, look, as long as there's coaches out there that eat paper in practice, so like we gotta make sure. Maybe you don't want to be the one that eats paper in practice, but it is what it is. Listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. This has been the Afters. Here's the last thing that we're gonna do. Tristan, get back over here. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. I know the selection committee members watch this. Make your pitch. Make your plea. Make the argument. How to get Pitt in the tournament right now?
I mean, look, if you want to make the argument, last 2 months, is Pitt not one of the best teams in the country when it comes to that large spot? I mean, you got wins over Duke, Virginia. You got no losses against teams outside of Power Conference. Yes, Missouri stinks. Yes, West Virginia and Oregon State didn't work out. But outside the non-conference schedule, everything else about Pitt is a tournament team. And honestly, who doesn't want to see Bub Carrington, Jalen Lowe in the tournament? Blake Hinson shoot 30 feet. It's about star power. People want to complain that people want
What
to
about
stars.
Ishmael Leggett? People want to see him in the tournament.
30 points. I mean, what about this? Are we really going to let Virginia get in there? Are we really going to let, no disrespect to the Master Greg Gordon, but do we want Providence without Bryce Hopkins?
No, we want Providence in.
Okay,
he can come in.
Okay, do we want Utah? Do we want Colorado? Do we want? I mean, just just let Pitt in. I mean, we had a rough time. Let's have all the Big East teams in as possible.
The old Big East teams. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're still part of the family.
Extended family.
We never left. We just we're cousins right now.
Listen, you got my vote. Pitt, get him in the tournament. Texas A&M, get the hell. I know you just beat Kentucky. You know you got like 17 wins over top 10 teams. Get the hell out of here. Yeah. The people want the Pitt Panthers. You heard it here. Tristan Freeman, Bruston Rackets, Jerel McNeal, Marquette legend, the tall cappuccino. My name is Rob Dauster. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night, midnight from Schaefer's 8th and 18th. We're going to be in the basement. That's where we'll be.